Dan's place in Minnesota happens to be centered in an area with lots and lots of fish. He's right off the shore of Lake Mille Lacs, and there's just all kinds of water all the way around there. And there's one particular lake that we went to that we were told was a fantastic walleye lake. And so we went there and we caught a whole bunch of walleyes. Holy.
He kind of blasted you.
Jeez, I just finished saying they're gonna go ballistic if the sun comes out. You guys can see the sun. Look at this walleye, dude. He just absolutely smashed that thing like it owed him money. I'm just gonna bring him up in the boat. Dude, that fish crushed that jerkbait. I don't know if we were rolling on that, but holy crap, did that fish grab that jerkbait for real.
I ripped the right out of your hand.
He did, dude. I mean, he blasted that thing. Holy smokes. That's about as aggressive a jerkbait bite as you're gonna get in fresh water. And it's funny because walleyes, I don't think people think of as particularly, hey, out of the boat. There you go. I'm so smooth. Just, if you study one thing from this show, study fish handling. When we started off targeting walleyes, because we knew there was lots of them in the lake, right away we contacted a couple of smallish bass, and we decided that, you know what, we probably ought to take advantage of those bass and see if we could expand on that a little bit. So the first couple of catches that we caught, to be honest with you, were a little bit accidental catches, which I don't put a lot of stock in most cases. I don't take a lot of pride in accidental catches. It's always fun to catch a bonus fish, but if I'm targeting walleyes and I catch bass, I don't consider myself doing good. I consider myself getting lucky, and that's really what happened with the first couple of bass that we caught. That's a smallmouth. Oh, dude, this is a good pond. All right, we'll keep track of him. No, we're good. I'll let him burn for a minute because he's got 3 treble hooks on that stunner. I have personally removed a half dozen of those Fusion 19s from myself, and I never like it, so we'll let him burn out for a quick minute. He's buried on that bait, so he ain't coming off. And then he's choked it too. Look at this, dude. It is choked. Come on up in here, buddy.
Nice fish.
Perfect headshot on it, meaning that they're biting the bait how I want. And dude, this is a fun pond. Okay. And there's the stun. I still haven't even changed it yet.
Nice fish.
It was a really fun time, but we were also told that there were very few bass in there, and that became to me a little bit of a challenge. You may know, if you're a fan, that bass are one of my favorite species, if not my favorite species in freshwater to chase. So when the gauntlet is thrown down, well, there's some in here and there's some nice ones, but there's very few. We decided we were gonna have to target those and see if we could get some of them to play. But that is a smallmouth bass, which makes that our species. That is not the right size of smallmouth bass, but that is our right species. So guys, we, in our effort to put together a bonus smallmouth show today, we came to the fish that we knew of from first thing in the morning, from the other day. We came there first thing in the morning. Now I want to point out we had caught them the last thing in the day, and that's a very small one. We're gonna see if we can do better. Very end of the day, we found smallmouth on this point over here, but it was calm and warm. We thought well, man, we'll shoot a quick bonus smallmouth show this morning. They're not up on that point because it's cold and windy, so I surmise that they might be out on the end of the point. So now we're sitting out, instead of being in 2 feet of water when we catch them, now that it's 10 feet of water. I just got out here and got one. So we're gonna cruise around and see if camera guy Tim and Dan and I can put a few more smallmouth together over the course of the morning. But the adjustment is important, because as soon as we got there, first cast or 2 up on the point didn't get bit, I'm like, water temperature's cooled down 4 degrees. It's breezy. When sun gets up, you watch, they'll be back on that point up shallow and we'll be able to get them. But in the meantime, where do you catch them? You go out a little bit deeper on the same piece of structure and see what you can find. once we started expanding on those bass is when things got interesting. And so over the course of the day, we started trying to segregate. Well, okay, we can catch walleyes out here in 12, 13, 15, 18 feet of water, throwing a jerkbait over the top of this grass. And that was working great. And again, you'll see that in a whole nother episode. We caught lots of them doing that, lots of them doing that. But then the bass we were catching were on the shallow end of that spectrum. And so all we really did to change it up was get up on top of the structure that we were fishing, as opposed to fishing around the outside of it. And what we were fishing is very classic late summer, early fall stuff. Big, long, tapering points that taper for, 300, 400, 500 yards out into the lake. And this is a natural lake, and as most of them are up in Minnesota, and there's no real rhyme or reason to the way the structure is. So it was more a matter of looking at our base map on the LaChance unit and extrapolating the terrain a little bit and figuring out how to catch them. But once we figured out that the big, long, sloping points were holding walleyes on the deep end of them, and we could target bass up on the shallow end of them, things got more consistent for us when we really went after the bass. Oh, big old bass. Here we go. This one, no. We'll go ahead and net this one. I think he's pretty good size, and I didn't get squat for a hook set. Guys, I just retied the bait. It's a largemouth. He's hooked on the chin. Yep, and just hold the net real tight. There you go. There, he's in the boat. There we go. Get the jerkbait out of the fish always first, and we'll show them to you. But get my rod out of the way. So that's a good northern largemouth right there, guys. We like those a whole bunch. And if you can see what I mean, it's a wide open grass flat. That's a pretty one. Wah! The one key was always the grass, and that's been the case now. I've been to Minnesota fishing a half dozen times, and it's always about the vegetation. It doesn't matter if I'm filming with Steve Panaz for Lake Commandos, it was about what kind of vegetation there. With Dan Swanson previously on a bunch of different lakes we went to, what kind of vegetation and at what depth. On this particular trip, we were in Minnesota for a full week. We fished that one lake that we're talking about here 2 times over that week, and both times it was all about the grass. When that nice, lush green grass was coming up off of the top of those points, you could count on the fact there was going to be walleyes and bass there. Look at this bass, dudes. Come on now, come with me, people. All right, we're going to net this one, Dano, if we would. That's a good size one. If you wouldn't mind that, I'd appreciate it. That's a big old bass. That's what we're looking for right there. Yep, got him. Go ahead, swing him on up in here. That's the kind we're looking for, guys. Took us a hot minute to find one of those this morning. But we'll take that one right there, guys. And that's why you try to do a bonus bass fishing trip every now and then. Get that out of the boat. For this lake, we were told that there's no big largemouth in this lake, and that fish is not long, but look how thick he is across the back. I bet that fish is pushing 3 pounds, and he's not but that long. Dude. I also want to point out that I'm about, 5 fish in the last 8 casts on that jerkbait, pike, walleye, and largemouth bass, just right here without even moving the boat. So this little gold stunner is getting beat up. This bait was brand new 20 minutes ago, and it's getting clobbered already. So thanks, Dan Spangler and your team. The key was keeping track of the edge of the vegetation. So the walleyes were just out off the deep edge of it in the other show that we had filmed, but the bass, which we're talking about here, were right at that edge and up. Some of them were up on top of the vegetation, up in shallower, maybe as shallow as 6 or 7 feet, maybe even a little bit less than that. And then some of them were out closer to the 10 or 12 foot range. The vegetation stopped hard at about 12 to 13 feet. And from there out, we could catch walleyes on that outside edge pretty consistently. You got, oh, big old bass. All right, Dano. All right, I'll get out of your way over here. Let me get my bait over here. I'll net for you. Nice work, Dano. That's our target species this morning in the sun. That's another hog too. Come here, baby. Oh, where is he? I can't even see him. I can't see him. Okay, hold it tight. Okay.
All right.
Nice work, Dano.
Nice work. We're not even gonna tangle the net up. Nice work. Maybe. I'm just gonna pull it right out of the fish real quick, and then we can play with our fish, and then you can deal with the net, or we can deal with the net in a minute. Dano.
Nice.
Better let you hold that one. Look at that. That's a clone of the last one we just caught. So goes to show you never read fishing reports. Several people told us, there's no decent largemouth in there. Apparently they're not fishing for the decent largemouth. Nice catch, Dana.
Right?
We were, I mean, let's be candid. We knew there's a mix of both. We caught them here both the other day, yep. But the largemouth are considerably smaller than the smallmouth. Well, so far this morning, the largemouth are winning the day.
One smallmouth so far.
Nice work, Dana.